Tom Trento here on site, just in front of the Pulse Club in Orlando with Frank Wilco from Tampa, Florida. Frank, your thoughts on the day so far?
It's actually surreal being here. I mean, the feeling in the air after an event like this, obviously, you can taste it. It's palpable. It's real, and it's tragic and it's sad.
All right, have you had a chance to look at the analytical data as it relates to Omar Mateen being a jihadi?
Well, only what I've been able to glean from media, but it fits the usual patterns, Tom. You know them very, very well. This has nothing to do with an emotional conflict that he was suffering from. It has.
Oh, he wasn't insane?
He wasn't insane. He was. By and large, I think if you're going to slap the label homophobic on anybody, you'd add that to his list of maladies. But no, this is a very calculated, well thought out, from a violence standpoint, an execution of violence standpoint. It was very smartly executed.
What is your message to Floridians to deal with Islamic Jihad in the state of Florida?
People just have to educate themselves. They have to become very aware of what, for themselves, not what somebody who's representing, say, the Islamic faith, who's obviously going to put the best face on their faith, as you well know, but on their own. Study Islamic theology, study the Quran, understand the chronological order of the surah of the Quran, the hadith and Sharia law, where warfare against unbelievers is prescribed. You have to understand that at a minimum to understand what we're dealing with. Other than that, it's just the tried and true vigilance. Nobody understands their environment better than they do. Nobody understands your environment better than you do, better than your neighbors do. Nobody understands his environment at his club better than the people who frequent that place, the owners, the managers. It's become cliche that if you see something, say something. That's exactly what we have to do. And you have to keep saying something until you get a response, either from law enforcement or from the authorities or the owners of an establishment. If you're wrong, you say something, it turns out to have been nothing, you're going to be embarrassed. If you were right and you don't say something or you don't push hard enough, embarrassment is going to be the least of your worries.
Good friend of ours, Philip Haney, one of the founders of the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is out. He's a whistleblower. He wrote a book, See Something, Say Nothing. And it's a critique against this administration and the DHS for suppressing his work as an intelligence officer and analyst at the border. What's the conflict going on now in the Obama administration regarding identifying the threat level of the actual enemy?
I think that people on both sides of it, to be honest with you, Tom, are missing the real point. Everybody keeps saying, well, the president has to identify these people as what they are, radical Islamic terrorists. I would say yes and no, in that this young man, this animal who did this yesterday here in Orlando, others, there's nothing radical about him at all. He is a Muslim who is following the strictures of Islam and its guidance and prescriptions for violence and warfare against unbelievers, according to the Quran, the Hadith, whatnot. He doesn't need the permission of his imam. He doesn't need to ask anybody. It's up to his heart and his conscience to execute what's being prescribed. If you're a Muslim, you believe it's being prescribed by God, and it's being ordained by the wisdom of Muhammad. So from that context, I think we just have to understand that this is it's a war on levels that we've never experienced before. But whether or not he's identified correctly as a radical Muslim jihad misses the point as well.